New law will automatically draft women to the military.
Yo, women being drafted to the military is trending right now. Okay, look, it's gonna be a wake-up call. Okay.
New law will automatically draft women to the military. Why will this new law automatically draft women to the military, and what are the social repercussions and consequences that women will now face with automatic drafting to the military? Stay to the end of the video to understand fully why women will now be automatically drafted to the military and what the consequences will be for women. And now let's go ahead and jump right into the very first video.
Okay, everyone, this is a big deal. I'm going to explain it to you, so stick with me. Don't go anywhere. There's a lot going on with this. Women could be registered or required to register for the draft. You heard that right. The United States House of Representatives took this up, and it was voted overwhelmingly by Republicans. They're the ones that supported it for the most part. When a woman turns 18, if this legislation goes through, they would be required to register for the draft. Also, it would mandate that men and women at the age of 18 would automatically be registered for the draft. Back in the day, men had to go and register. Now, this legislation would automatically register them. This is the first time that this has been done for women. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments below, and you need to follow me because the mainstream media is not digging into this. They're not telling you this.
Are drafted to the military. I am most excited to see the confrontation between commanding officers and the girls.
Between commanding officers and the girls? Oh dear.
Think we're gonna let you yell at us? You think we're gonna do something without a please and thank you?
Please allow me to introduce a little reality into this situation, because personnel in the military are under legal obligation to follow all lawful orders that they are given. And a please and a thank you are not required.
We've all had controlling ex-boyfriends. We know not to put up with that bullshit.
It's almost as if they're not understanding that it's not just men that are in positions of authority in the military.
Like, let's sit down and have a conversation about what you want and what I want, and we'll reach a happy medium. Because there's no way I'm doing what you want when you use that tone with me. You think you can push us around like you do with these men? Think again, baby. You're gonna learn some manners.
And I think one would learn very quickly that having a bad attitude and obvious problems with people in positions of authority wouldn't get one very far. But most importantly, the Uniform Code of Military Justice doesn't play.
So this is where things get very interesting. I've talked about this plenty of times that men operate using facts. So we rationalize using facts, women rationalize using feelings. There's the reason why you can never actually win an argument with a woman, because her feelings replace the place of facts. So no matter what she says, no matter what you say to her, until she ultimately decides that her feelings have betrayed her, and now she's going to, focus on the facts, you will never get anywhere with her. And the craziest thing is now a lot of these women are going to be required to register. Well, they won't be required to register for anything. They're going to be automatically registered for the draft, and not just the draft, but now they're talking about mandatory military service as well. And there are serious implications with all of this. So, as you guys can see here, U.S. military draft bill would require women to register for selective service, but it would be automatic. Last week, the House of Representatives passed an updated version of the National Defense Authorization Act, which allows the U.S. government to automatically register men 18 to 25 into the selective service or draft. While it hasn't been invoked in over half a century, it's mandatory for all male U.S. citizens to register for the selective service, also known as the military draft, when they turn 18. Failure to register is classified as a felony and comes with a host of legal challenges. I want you to understand that the U.S. military found that 77% of Gen Z males, before they even graduate from high school, so men in their senior year of high school, Gen Zers, are not fit to serve in the military because of substance abuse issues, mental health issues, mental incompetence issues, or they're too overweight. In fact, it's so bad with Gen Z that they actually set up a fat camp. The military has set up a fat camp where they send Gen Zers to go and lose weight so that they can then qualify to participate in basic training. Like, this is insane. This is how bad things are. And 77% of them can't even qualify to serve it, can't even serve in the military. To make matters worse, every year, over 100,000 Gen Zers are turning 18. And every year, over 100,000 Gen Zers are not registering for the military. Guys, do you see the big problem here? So a significant portion of Gen Zers who are turning 18 are not registering for the draft. They're not going down there. They're not registering. They're like, ha ha. I've called it the sleeping and farting generation. If you put them in prison, they're just gonna have a good time. They're gonna sleep, eat, drink, get drunk, smoke, use drugs. So there's substances, play games, watch TV, get tatted up, maybe work out, get laid, fart, and then do it all again the next day. You can't really beat them. You can't really beat them. There are those of you that talk about hard labor, but for a Gen Z, they're like, well, we're screwed anyway. You don't understand that tormenting and torturing people does not work. It doesn't work. They're not going, it doesn't, guys, it is, you have to have people, no, a man will never work harder than when he's a man. Society can never make a man work harder than when he's making himself work, because men push themselves to the brink. They give so much, and now with men walking away, it's insane. So many men are walking away from dating, relationships, marriage, and the Gen Zers, they're not doing anything. Most of them can't even serve in the military. And then the ones who do, the ones who can, a lot of them are too overweight to serve. So now, you have very few males that can participate in the military, and the ones who can participate aren't even signing up. So now they're going to automatically register them. And then when you look further in the article, the law currently requires only men to register for the Selective Service. In the event that the law is changed to include registering women, Selective Service is prepared to expand registration. The website reads. So, guys, they've already prepared the website. It's already on the website that they are prepared to expand registration to women. The U.S. military is already prepared immediately for women to begin being registered. The Senate Armed Forces Committee has since created their version of the NDAA, where the draft eligibility would extend to women. The proposal to have women register for the draft is not included in the House version of the bill. Some experts say it's necessary and fair to make the draft talent unified in the event of a national emergency. The bill garnered mixed reactions. This actually went to federal court. Federal court deemed that a male-only draft was unconstitutional, but they did not dissolve the male-only draft. So men appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court then said that, okay, the Supreme Court then got a request from the Biden administration asking that they allow Congress to decide on this, because Congress was still, weighing the decision between if they were going to have women drafted. So the Supreme Court then agreed to defer to Congress, but Congress has been waiting for years. This has been ongoing for like 7 years now. 7 years. So if they don't pass this to, if they do not pass it, despite the fact that the NDAA Armed Forces Committee, which is a bipartisan group, have said, yes, draft women. If they don't approve this and start drafting women, it can go right back to the Supreme Court. And if it goes back to the Supreme Court more than likely will rule that the male-only draft is unconstitutional. How do we know this? Because a federal court has already ruled that the male-only draft is unconstitutional. This would create some very, very serious problems, because then they may end up having to go back and amending the Constitution in and of itself. They would have to go back and amend the Constitution to make a male-only draft constitutional. So the easiest way to get around doing this is to basically just require that women are automatically registered for the draft, right? So not everyone is happy about this. For example, we're talking about involuntary drafting women. I'm totally opposed to that. I'm also worried about the expansion of the draft, said Senator Josh Hawley. Notice he's worrying about women, but he's not really caring about men. He tries to come at the end like, oh, yeah, I'm worried about the expansion. He's not worried. Notice, though, his opinion is not, even though he's a Republican, keep in mind, evidently it's conservatives who have been pushing this heavily as well. They're like at the forefront of this. So even though there's like one or two Republicans who are not on board for this. The vast majority of Republicans appear to be fully on board for this. In fact, they appear to be the ones at the very forefront of moving this forward, and the Democrats appear to be on board as well. So there's a bipartisan effort right now to indeed to have women automatically register for the draft, and not only that, they're also talking about making mandatory military service. We already know that society has a very negative perception of Gen Zers. Gen Zers are dropping out of the workforce rapidly. They're leaving their jobs, they're going home, and they're just chilling at home and letting their parents subsidize their living and also living off the state. So they're getting, oh, I don't have a job, so I'm going to collect Medicaid. Oh, I don't have a job, so I'm going to get food stamps. Y'all see where this is going? I don't have a job, so I'm just going to get cash assistance. All right. So they're going to start collecting all of these benefits off the state, living off their parents, living off charities. This is the future of Gen Z. And then they spend all of their time sleeping and farting, sleep, eat, play Call of Duty, get drunk, smoke weed, do some other substances, fap, and then do it all again the next day. This is Gen Z. So society has such a negative perception of them that the concept of mandatory military service, to straighten them out, oh boy, it makes a lot of sense. But then at the same time, many of them are not even qualified to serve in the military because they're either they're either too mentally ill, mentally incompetent, mentally ill, mentally incompetent, overweight, or substance issue, or they have substance issues, and that's 77% before they even graduate from high school. So we don't know what the actual number is now after they graduate from high school. It could be 80 or 90%, because if they didn't have a drug problem before, or they weren't overweight before, chances are they didn't suddenly become competent to serve after graduating high school. If anything, more of them became less competent, more mentally ill, and began using substances that will eliminate them, or they gain weight that will also eliminate them. All right, so it could be, guys, it could actually be, it was 77%, just for high school seniors. But in reality, in terms of all Gen Zers right now, it could be as low as it could be 90%. It could really be like it, because it's almost 80%, so it could really be like 90 or 95%. Really, like 90 or 95% that wouldn't even qualify. So they'd basically be going after 5%, and they're going to be calling up, guys, if there's actually a war, let's be real. They're not going to put these jokers, these bad muffins, in charge of like billions of dollars in military equipment, or are in charge of funds, like, citing for funds. Like, there's this woman, the Gucci Queen, who was like, she was a civilian, and she basically was managing tons of money. She stole like $100 million from the U.S. military and used it to buy Gucci purses and live an extravagant lifestyle. Now she's headed to prison for like a long time, I think. And it's like, imagine putting a Gen Zer in this position. No one's like, if anyone did it, they're going to be held responsible. And Gen Z doesn't see a future for themselves anyway, and they're not really good at math or critical thinking. So, if there's a war, they're going to have to recruit, millennials and Gen Xers. That's really how it is. And a lot of the Gen Xers have already said they better not knock on their doors. Do not knock on our door. You remember that from Tree's Company? Come and knock on my door. We'll be waiting for you. Oh, y'all. Gen X is literally like, come and knock on my door. We'll be waiting for you. Oh my gosh. Bro, Gen X. Gen X is not messing around, y'all. Gen X is not messing around. No, they're not. These people are not messing around. So, what does this all mean? We have our answer. This new law to automatically draft women is only going to regret. Is going to result in a lot of women being forced into the military and losing the privilege that they've been enjoying for so long of, not having to serve their country. And even if there is no actual draft that occurs, just the prospect of doing this is going to result in a lot of women becoming furious, filing lawsuits, throwing a storm. It's gonna be an absolute nightmare, because while you can basically train men and force men to comply, it's much more difficult with women. and especially when they're, emotional, breaking down their feelings. A lot of women are going to break down mentally, especially in today's modern day era. A lot of women will break down mentally. They will shut down. Put them in the military, they will shut down completely. All right. And then the idea that you're going to keep all of the men like in combat roles while women are safely in support roles. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. All right. There would be lawsuits filed immediately saying that it's discrimination, because some women are already serving in combat roles. Women now serve in every role in the military, including combat roles. So to say that, okay, well, we're gonna put like 5% of women in combat roles and then 95% of men in combat roles and call that equality, unless they can prove exactly why this is, like, how is this not discrimination, they're going to basically a lot of women are going to end up being forced into combat roles. And considering that our military is deteriorating so much and they're not able to fill many of the openings right now in every branch of the military, with the exception of like the Air Force, and even then they're struggling a little bit. They're gonna start just drafting people just to fill these roles, drafting people in the military, not for the purpose of war, but saying that we have an emergency. You can draft people to the military if there's a war, if there's a national emergency, and if you don't have enough people to fill military roles, that can be considered deemed a national emergency. And as a result of that, they can begin drafting people and under the premise of mandatory military service. And this practice would probably never go away. Like, it would just become like South Korea, and you know how I feel about Gen Z, those bad little muffins. The problem with doing this, however, is that these people aren't fit to serve. These are TikTokers. Cardi B, I don't agree with everything she says, but she is right about this. She's like, these kids are TikTokers, all right? They are TikTokers. You can't draft these jokers. You can't draft these kids, okay? These kids that are dancing on TikTok, they are not going to serve in the military, okay? They are not built for that. They are built for TikTok. They're not going to do well in the military, all right? These are the people, like, I've seen comments from some of you guys when I've talked about this that say that you'll go and join the enemy. And I don't think that's a joke. I really believe that a lot of these little muffins, they will go and join the enemy. All right. The enemy will say things like, we've got Wi-Fi and we've got Cheetos, we've got Call of Duty, we've got video. Man, what are you doing? What are you doing over there? Come on. Come and join us. We're gonna take care of you. All right. And it doesn't matter if they tell the truth or not. That's all there is. All right. Gen Z doesn't care. Gen Z doesn't really care about anything. So Gen Z will just hop on over there and go join the enemy. All right. Like, you can't trust these people. You cannot trust these people with any responsibility whatsoever. Okay. These are TikTokers. These kids that are dancing around, hopping around, they are TikTokers. They are not made for the military. They are made for TikTok. They are made for sleeping and farting. Okay. They are made for Call of Duty. Okay. They are not made for serving in the military. They are not like previous generations. These are one out of every 4 Gen Zers are bringing their parents with them to job interviews. And you're going to put these people, these little TikTokers, these bad little muffins in charge of military weapons and guarding others and protecting and serving. The military will straighten them out. Not this generation. They can barely do math. All right. These guys cannot do basic math, even with a calculator, even with a smartphone. They can't do basic math.
Just read an article saying that the House just passed a bill that they're going to automatically register men from 18 to 26 for war. Okay? And all I want to say is to America, good luck with that. These new little niggas are TikTokers, baby. These motherfuckers ain't gonna fight no war. We gonna die. You gonna die. You might as well just keep motherfucking investing money in your guns. Because these new kids, you want to send these new kids to fight these wars? The TikTok fucking hip shakers? Out of your mind. This is a new America, baby. This ain't the 19 motherfucker. Nah, like, seriously, you gonna draft these kids that be TikToking all day to fight them, what? Most likely, what? Them Russians? Them motherfuckers that be fighting bears and shit? And motherfucking climbing mountains to go to school and whatever? I got some news for you, motherfuckers.
Guys, I don't agree with everything Cardi says. I don't like a lot of her music. I do not like WAP. But she makes a damn good point. She is keeping it real. These guys, the TikTokers, these dudes are the guys that are the ones twerking on TikTok right now, it's the boys. It's the guys. You think these dudes are gonna go and fight? And they're putting Gen Z are putting up videos letting you all know that they're suffering from extreme mental illness. So you're not gonna be able to send them over there. Guys, what are the social repercussions for everything? Women are going to basically find themselves in a whole different reality where they're going to be forced to, into mandatory military service, and it's going to completely shift things, especially as 45% of all women. 45% of women are going to be between the ages of 25 and 44 are going to be childless and single come 2030, and that's not even counting the women who have children who are and also single. So when you really look at it like that, it could be anywhere from 70 to 80% of all women in the U.S. are going to be single. When you count the women who have children, those are a lot of women who are going to be single, don't have children, that are single, some with children, some without, and don't have a man to support them. And on top of it, they're getting forced into mandatory military service. Guys, it's going to be it's hard times for women. The future for women is hard. Women are facing hard times. That's what's really happening right now. That's our answer. Women are facing hard times, all right? As women are going to be losing a lot of privileges as men are walking away and avoiding society that doesn't want them, a society that's pushed them out of society. By the way, guys, subscribe to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description to get your free copy of the ebook. What do you guys think regarding all of this? This new law will automatically draft women. Let me know your thoughts and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWM and walking away. And cheers.